Hey, what's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today I'm going to be talking about a brand new film set to hit digital media on the 20th from Terror Films' It's Hostage. Hostage tells the story of a young man that one day decides to break and enter into the wrong house with the wrong family. Soon, he's taken hostage by a seemingly normal family, but he soon learns the truth about their dark and demented history of violence and what they plan to do with him. So this is a late addition to my list of reviews this week. I hadn't heard about it until recently. So I gotta thank the folks over at Terror Films for allowing me to view a screener a little bit early to give some of my honest feedback. First of all, this is a feature-length directorial debut for director Eddie Augustine, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, sorry about that, who before this was primarily known for short films. He also has a history of photography that he hoped to bring to the table in order to help visually convey the story seen in Hostage. So as usual, I always gotta say, bravo on your first venture, sir, and here's to many more. No matter what, just keep them popping out. Let's start with some of the positives. I like the sort of opposite hostage story here, where the guy breaking into the house gets taken hostage. You would think, as the film begins, that this man breaking into somebody else's house is gonna, kidnap somebody, take them hostage, and there's your movie. But nope, surprise, right away, he's the one getting taken hostage. And even though it is this entire family taking him hostage, you kind of know right away that the girl seems to be in control. And that kind of reminded me of the 2009 film, The Loved Ones, where you had a similar prospect where a girl takes a guy hostage. Different foundation, but still crazy psychotic girl nonetheless. I also like that the film sort of operated like a mystery that slowly begins to unfurl as the film goes on. You know very little about this family, or really even about the guy breaking into the house, at least at first. And there's a dynamic here that I thought was very interesting. The guy being held captive was lying about who he was, but the crazy people planning to kill him were mostly upfront about that and telling the truth. Not at first, but it doesn't take them long before they begin to tell him who they really are, what they plan to do, and each of these groups of people very much have a sordid past and their own malicious intentions overall. And that wasn't a mistake. The writer-director wanted the audience to struggle on picking sides. He wanted everybody to both be likable and dislikable at the same time. I respect that. But at the same time, that's super risky. To me, that mostly sounds like everybody is just dislikable and you don't care much about them. But I digress. Finally, I did like the photography here. It was a very, very subtle thing. So I'm not sure if many people pick up on the areas of framing and placement that I did, but for the most part, I think it worked for what the director was going for. What about some negatives? First and foremost, the thing that stands out to me as the worst is probably the acting. I always hate to say it if I think an actor does a poor job, but I hate it even more when I think a majority of the cast had the same problem. The acting alone was so much of a distraction that even some of the areas that I already talked about that I think were actually good stood out as bad. It's hard to explain, but it just goes to show how important acting is in making any film feel like it's good quality. When everybody is struggling in their roles to be amazing and they all fall under par, the more the film feels amateur and cheap. And this is a movie that, at the end of the day, it feels cheap. I never like saying that because I've been there and I know my movies look no better and my acting has never been good either. I know what it's like to feel like in the moment, it's great, and then look back at the tapes and be like, oh, never mind. So overall, this is a movie that I think will fall under most people's radar. I think it might pop up on streaming services like Tubi TV or something at some point, but even then, it completely depends on who you are if you'll even find it to be something that sounds good at all. Let's go ahead and break down my final score. From an unbiased technical side of things, I think everything here was mostly business as usual. While some of the photography stood out as decent, the poor acting brought that score back down to kind of mid-level, and this score is 52%. My bias score, or just how I felt about it overall, was quite a bit lower than that because even though I respected some directing choices here, some photography choices there, overall it's not a movie that I was that invested in and was mostly distracted with the acting. This score is 28%. When we combine the two scores together, we come to the final rating of 40%. 40 out of 100 possible stars, or for me, that's a D- letter grade. Guys, Have you seen Hostage? If so, let me know in the comments down below what you thought about it, and if you haven't seen it yet, are you planning to? And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out.
Dave examines movies we just watch for fun. Davey is the expert.